My name is Brenda Clammert. I work here at the Y. I coach the diabetes prevention program classes and also work upstairs doing some individual nutrition counseling and working with Kelly up in the Wellness Center. So, been here 3 years or so. If we haven't met, I know I haven't met. I don't think we've met before.
I'm Britta. I'm the aquatics coordinator.
Oh, good. Okay, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. And I met you at the kickoff meeting the other night. And those of you at home, hi, how you doing? Yeah. Today's Lunch and Learn, and I'm hoping there will be things that you will learn, is worth 20 points. I'm going to try to give you 20 points worth of valuable information today. I have lots of handouts for you to take. You certainly are welcome to grab some handouts that might focus on some areas that you're finding challenging within the challenge. So I hope to highlight some of those things and have a chance to discuss some of those today. So I brought along the actual sheet just to kind of review and take a look at really quickly. And the first thing, just logging the food itself. Are any of you finding that challenging? Just keeping up with the app?
I love that app.
It's super easy.
It makes you really think of what, calories are and stuff.
Yep. Yep.
And even if you don't do it after every single meal, if you just do it like twice a day, like that's what I found. It's been easy.
It's at night. I just do it one night.
I usually do it once during the day and then like again at night, like before I go to bed, and then I'm good to go.
Okay. Okay. So logging itself, what I'm hearing you say is that is getting easier. Is it easier or hard for you to meet the goal that you had set up for yourself as far as calorie goal goes? Are you finding that challenging?
Calories not so much, but like fiber intake and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
the fiber is hard. I always have to have a fiber bar or something.
Okay. Well, that's one thing that I meant to discuss today in a little bit more detail. So good. I'm not glad to hear that you're struggling, but glad that I'm going to be discussing that. What about fruits and vegetables? How's that going? Looks like you got them here with you today for your lunch and learn. Hopefully you're eating them at home.
Protein. I am consistently low on protein.
Yeah, me too.
Consistently. Which is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's hard to focus on everything for our kind of game board that we have outlined in the challenge, but the neat thing that we thought when we set this up was that we were focusing on things we should eat more of instead of things we should back down on. So we didn't want to reward ourselves for cutting fat or limiting ourselves in certain categories. We loved the idea of rewarding ourselves and giving ourselves points when we were doing the right things. So it's kind of all about doing the right things. The whole challenge is kind of set up that way. And with the intent that you will have 8 weeks or continuing on beyond that to practice something that you could maybe do permanently. Lots of people find it challenging to do the logging and they find that tedious. I have lots and lots of participants in the diabetes prevention program that do the same thing. They log everything every single day for many weeks beyond what our challenge is set up at. But they find that it's really tied to their success, the tracking. So, often those who are successful at losing weight, and it does sound like, we had a little talk before we started taping about feeling like you have had some really good success so far just in these 3 weeks and maybe even before. The maintenance part of weight loss after having lost weight can be just as challenging as losing the weight itself. So please don't think that 8 weeks is a temporary time period. That I'm hoping you'll embrace this as a permanent method of engaging in new, healthier lifestyle behaviors. So, with that in mind, let's dive into any other topics you'd like to discuss related to food that you find challenging. We're going to highlight fruits, vegetables, fiber, specifically today. Okay, so I have some visuals for you. One thing that's really important with MyFitnessPal and any type of food tracking is just to make sure you're being accurate. Are any of you using tools to measure once in a while, just to make sure that your eyes aren't deceiving?
I am a little bit, but I usually do like a bag of vegetables. Sometimes I just do the whole bag and it's on there.
Oh, sure. When you have the label that indicates how many are in the portion, that's really helpful. And I love the barcode scanning tool with MyFitnessPal and use that all the time. But if you're just pouring yourself something as a snack, or are you using this to kind of make sure that you're being
The butter I'm not, like I know when I butter my toasts, I just
Okay.
know I'm cutting back, but I count it as a tablespoon. You know, and I don't think I'm doing a tablespoon.
So you think you're erring
Less,
on the
but
side
I
of
put, you know,
logging more?
yeah, I actually log more calories for it.
Okay, that's great. I mean,
Same.
that can be
Mhm.
very important.
I'm not cheating on my butter, I love my butter, so I'm not
Yeah,
doing the
well, you're
generic
going to keep
butter.
it. Well, but I mean, just for the visual of
Right.
that, you know, just to look at the difference between a teaspoon and a tablespoon with butter or salad dressing or anything that could potentially add
Right.
significant calories and fat to your day. You know, there's a big difference. What are you doing about that in restaurants with salad dressing, butter?
I haven't been out to eat since this challenge, honestly. I don't
Okay,
think.
we are going to talk about restaurant eating
So,
today,
yeah, I guess it's something that I hadn't, but I know that you could always, like if you're getting a salad, for example, you could always ask for the dressing on the side. It'd be an easier way
Yeah.
to measure it.
Yep.
Same thing with like mayo, I got Jimmy John's for the family the other night, just, I said no mayo, and then
Yep.
just meal packet so that we could put it on.
Put it on
if we
yourself.
wanted. Yeah.
Very good, yep. Because often, here's the thing about MyFitnessPal, you know, it's wonderful, it's got a wonderful database of hundreds of thousands, even millions of foods, but you don't know, and I worked in food service many years, what that employee is putting on that sub at that moment in time. I mean, they're often using a spatula to put mayo on a sub bun, and you know, MyFitnessPal is just making its best educated
Right.
guess for what they are trained to use and the amount, but I don't think they're using a tablespoon to measure it either. So it's just something to keep in mind. Your idea of controlling it that way by ordering the packets on the side is a great idea. Okay, 2 cups of vegetables. So I'm providing a visual of a dinner plate. Does anyone know what this, in the
The
world
meat?
of, yes, this represents
3
a
ounces?
3 ounce, yep, portion
Ounces,
of meat, deck of cards. This is often used as a teaching tool. Now, how does that look on our plate? What proportion of that does that take up? Yeah, yeah. 2 cups of vegetables. The actual recommendation for vegetables is a minimum of 2.5 cups a day. We thought we'd go easy on everybody. But as far as how that looks on a dinner plate, if you were to leave them all for dinner, that's quite a bit of that dinner plate. And these are sizable dinner plates. These are like 10.5-inch plates.
But that's like your daily
Yeah, this is
serving,
all of
right?
them at
Right,
once.
once.
Okay.
Right. But there are many people that might wait until dinner to consume the entire.
Yeah.
Right, so I mean, a bag of steam fresh vegetables on your dinner plate, that's more, not quite, a little more than 2 cups probably. But it definitely takes up more than half your dinner plate. So it's something to think of when you're preparing and thinking about planning for vegetables. This represents, what do you think this might represent?
Your starch or
Yeah.
potatoes or.
Yeah, so that is a 1/2 cup portion of that other food group, usually the grains or the starch or something like that. So if you're thinking about planning the meals, now I gotta think of the camera, where it is. You're starting to plan your meals around vegetables. It's a different way of thinking than the standard American style of thinking about preparing our meals around an entree. Now we're starting to think, what's in season? What is gonna be something I can prepare? What tastes like fall right now? You know, commonly fall is a season for roasting vegetables in the oven. So always having this visual that these are the star of the show, you know, when it comes to healthy eating, is something to just kind of shift your mindset to thinking about. So just provide that visual. I have a bunch of handouts on eating more fruits and vegetables. So if you're struggling with any of those categories, we have one on fruits, adding more vegetables, and then another one on 20 ways to enjoy more fruits and vegetables. If you are not here at present, all of my nutrition handouts come from choosemyplate.gov. So you can find tons of nutrition information and suggestions for eating more vegetables and fruits there. And the other website is the eatright.org, and that's the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. So we can provide them here. And they're certainly online, available to the public free.
And we can keep them up at the wellness desk too.
Okay.
So that if they are up there working out, they can take them, the wellness desk will have them, if we have extras, which I
Okay.
imagine we will.
Super. All right, so now let's talk about fiber real quick. How are you getting your fiber? How are you meeting that? How are you,
It's hit or miss for me.
it's hit or miss.
Cereal and, one of those bars, breakfast bars.
Okay. Okay.
I have it through the veggies.
Me too, that and, yeah, sometimes incorporating more beans.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. So I have, if you just want to glance at it, I did bring along a list of foods that are really high in fiber. If you want to just think about some ideas. But by and large, maybe when you think fiber, you think bran cereal. This is maybe the first thing that comes to mind. Fiber is in foods that are derived from plant sources typically, and the less processed they are, the more likely they are to be higher in fiber. So with bran cereal, of course, we would have a less processed wheat cereal that would have a higher degree of fiber. Same thing with whole grain breads. Other sources of whole grain can be popcorn, brown rice instead of white rice. Anything that has less processing and is more in its natural state is typically going to be higher in fiber. But there's one thing that we're probably not incorporating a lot into our Wisconsin style diet that we could, that actually is higher than any other things. And Laura just said what it is. It is dry beans. Really easy way to bring that fiber content higher. I'm going to pass this around just so you can look at some of the foods that are really high. But, I mean, now, in meeting that goal every day, and actually the recommended amount that's suggested for women is 25 grams a day. We're shooting for 20. For men, it's 38 grams a day. So it's definitely a good thing if you're continuing to try to bring that up more. I've just gotten into the habit of never having Mexican without black beans. Because they're
High in fiber.
Exactly. They're very high in protein too. So it's a great way to bring in a plant-sourced protein that is low in fat, has a lot of other benefits. Why do we want to eat more fiber? Does anyone know? Why is that important?
Good colon health.
Yeah, good colon health. When you eat something that's higher in fiber, how do you feel?
Gives you a little more
More
energy.
energy, yeah.
Okay.
Keeps it fuller.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, carbohydrates are fibers, but foods that are high in fiber are high carbohydrate sources. So yes, they give you lots of energy. They make you feel full. So there are plenty of studies where participants were trying to lose weight where they just tracked fiber. They didn't do a low-fat diet, they didn't do gluten-free, they didn't do anything in particular like that. All they tracked was how much fiber they were eating. And the higher in fiber their diet was, the more fruits and vegetables they were eating typically, the more whole grains they were eating, and the more lower fat protein sources they were choosing. An example of that, again, is dry beans. And there are so many different kinds of dry beans, so I brought along a recipe to make homemade refried beans. It's a really good recipe. The beans stay whole in this recipe, but I mean, it's such a inexpensive source of protein as well to think about, incorporating more into our diet, because what does this bag cost? Probably $1.50, maybe?
Even less.
Yeah, so this might be $1, and how many servings this would make of refried beans. They can be frozen, they reheat perfectly, so it's just an idea. I brought along the recipe that I'm using from a vegetarian cookbook that's been something I've been using for 2 decades. It's a really good thing to just keep thinking about, how can I add beans to my diet? In Italian cuisine, there is a bean, like a cannellini bean. It's a white bean. Sometimes, instead of spaghetti and meatballs, I'm adding some of those white beans into my spaghetti sauce. So, of course, spaghetti sauce is always going to be a source of vegetables. But if you're always thinking about adding things to it to add more vegetables, you're going to be adding more fiber when you add vegetables to it. So, zucchini, onions, mushrooms, tomatoes, and those white cannellini, I believe, beans are great potential to do those 2 cups of vegetables really quickly. You're probably not going to want to put 2 cups of sauce on your Italian dish, but if you added that many more vegetables, it would be an easy way to meet that goal. So,
When it comes to the seasonal vegetables, we have a lot of butternut squash right now. Brenda, would you call that a starch or a vegetable?
it's definitely a vegetable.
Okay.
Mostly because when you think about vegetables, you think about all the different colors of the rainbow and how each of those different colors represents something so powerful, and the antioxidants and the phytonutrients, those nutrients that are in the different colors are actually fighting for different parts of your body internally. So, that's a whole nother hour lecture, but
Do you get excited about things being fruits over vegetables? Tomatoes?
oh
Or-
no.
No.
You mean like as far as how we count? No.
Right.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm more concerned with eating different colors, with
Yeah.
the variety,
Yeah.
because you're going to get different nutrients from different colors. So the beta carotene in that squash is going to be wonderful. I'm not going to be concerned that it's higher in calories, just like peas and corn.
Yeah.
You're most of the time struggling to get to that. If you're only eating starchy vegetables, you're limiting yourself, because there is such a wide variety of different lower calorie choices that are going to be higher in fiber too. All the salad greens, of course. If you walk into a produce section, just think about all the different colors you might be able to put in your grocery cart, and maybe make that a challenge. Just try to buy different colors and figure out how to incorporate those. So
We get so used to buying the same noodle, and it's like wheat noodles, it's like change it up. You just get that habit,
yeah. Well, there's all different kinds of ways to bring fiber into your diet. And some of them revolve around more fruits and vegetables, and some of them revolve around bringing in beans. Actually, USDA counts dry beans as vegetables if you are needing protein through meat. So I don't want to get everyone confused with that, because we're not counting dry beans as vegetables here. But they have some of those properties with the high fiber and things that they would offer some of the same benefit as vegetables would. So again, a worthwhile food to bring into your diet if you haven't. Okay.
And I like to bring in beans in the form of hummus. That's very
Oh yeah,
good.
absolutely.
I also like to bring beans in the form of dessert, because I add chickpeas with peanut butter and maple syrup, and then you can make like with oatmeal. It's delicious, and you make it there's more ways to use beans than just like
That's
salad
right,
or Mexican. There's a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, you're right. That's a really important point. Many are using the same way you would use applesauce or maybe prune puree or something like that in a baked item to bring down the fat in place of oil. You can use black beans or even ground chickpeas like that. I've heard about, I don't make them, but I've heard about the recipe for black bean brownies. If you've ever heard of just pureeing a can of black beans, and adding it to brownie mix and baking it in place of the oil and the eggs.
And some of the cocoa, it's
not quite
it's
the
a
same.
science. You got to get it right, because I've botched too many black bean brownies, and my family will not eat them anymore. But the blondie ones with the chickpeas, I tend to. I'm better at baking those.
Okay.
So there's a bunch of you just Google that, you get
Right.
They're really good. Or beets. I've used beets in cake, chocolate cake before, and that's
Okay.
worked for my family.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely trial and error. If you're someone who can't think of how you might incorporate beans into your diet as a whole bean, this is a great way to incorporate them in kind of a hidden way. So, just getting more into what we wanted to talk about regarding workplace wellness. I just wanted to ask you, what was the reason, what made you want to join the challenge when you first signed up? Were you talked into it?
No. I think to be healthier.
To be healthier.
Yeah, just to consistently, make it more of like a lifestyle, just making better food choices, exercise choices, and just hopefully being able to stick with it,
Yeah. Yeah, and how are you measuring your success? Was it mostly about weight loss, or was it?
My pants fit.
Yeah, I've noticed in my pants, and I haven't seen my daughters, and they said, Mom, your fingers look skinnier. And I'm like, wow, I guess I get pudgy finger, you know, I never noticed that. That's the first thing they noticed.
Wow.
And my skin is better since I stopped the Diet Coke. I can just
Okay.
feel it.
Really?
I was 3 cans easily, 3 of these a day easily.
Wow. And that's
Yeah.
just with this particular couple weeks, or?
No, I stopped before, way
Okay.
before, 8 weeks ago, I just said no more Diet Coke.
Mhm. So you were avoiding soda
I think
altogether?
I was actually dehydrated.
Mm-hmm.
I never realized how much, someone says you will get addicted to water, and I think I'm finally getting there, where I'm just gulping it, so.
Does anyone else notice different changes in how they feel?
Water intake I've always been good with.
Yeah, I have.
But I definitely think things are just getting a little bit easier. That's,
Yeah.
you know, like I said, with the logging at first, I was like, oh, this is kind of overwhelming or annoying. And then like, the
Now
more
you
I
just
started
get used
doing
to
it, I'm like, this is actually super easy. And
Yeah.
I can do this every day.
Yeah, I do 5, 5, 5 down the bottom, because I know I'm not gonna have the coffee, I know I'm not gonna have my soda, I already put those 5 5s right away.
Mm-hmm. You're developing a habit
Mhm.
and a pattern. As far as sleep goes, have you changed?
That's hard
Sleep.
for me, because I work till 2 in the morning.
Oh, I remember you
have to
saying
be
that.
up at 6:30 twice a week to babysit.
Yeah.
So I lose on my sleep 2 days a week, but then I'd sleep the next day till like 10 or so.
Okay.
So,
How do you think sleep affects your choices throughout the day?
When I'm tired, I make really bad choices.
mhm.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, sleep is like nutrition for your brain. So it's an important category, and it's even just related to weight loss alone. It definitely affects our choices. And if we get that minimum of 7 hours, it is going to help us stay more in control of the choices that we're making.
And sleep is kind of important in terms of your hormonal balance.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was just listening to a podcast today about that. Some doctor referenced a research study done in Canada that they put these test groups, 8 in each, for an 8-week program on the same diet program, the same exercise regime, but one of them, they made them sleep for 7 hours, the other 5. And that was the only difference in the people in the 7-hour a night sleeping
Right.
test group. They lost more weight than,
Wow.
he didn't get into specifics as to how much, and was it consistent for each individual. None of that was disclosed, but, you know, compared to the 5 hours, they didn't lose as much weight. So specifically for weight loss, if that's what we're after, I mean, it's a huge component.
Right. Would any of you say you've experienced, and it's only been a few weeks, but some form of relapse during this time?
Oh, yeah.
Well, can you give me an example?
Well, this past weekend, I was just like not interested in tracking, and Britta and I were talking, and it's like, once you start tracking, you start paying attention to what you're eating.
Mm-hmm.
So I could go back and track it later, but during the weekend, I just was like, I'm not writing this down right now. Just don't want to.
Yep.
We were out busy doing things, and it just was like, I don't want to take the time and sit in the car and like, okay, we were at Panera and whatever,
Right.
and
Right.
so mostly it was, you know, didn't want to track it. Could still make okay choices, but
Mhm.
didn't want to write it down.
So it wasn't that you were making choices that you didn't want to track, it was
Not
that,
necessarily. No, it was that I just was just tired of tracking.
tired of
Yeah,
Mhm.
of the process.
being
It was
so,
right.
right, disciplined about it all.
Yes. Yep.
I understand, okay. Anyone else? Some type of,
I mean,
Relapse
definitely, I know for a lot of women, you know, guys, if there's a man in your life, they can or they do just eat whatever. So that can be hard when they're eating pizza or something like that. And that I've just been, you know, limiting myself to smaller amounts, a piece or two, and then having it with a salad, or even eating something like that first, you know, the salad, so that it kind of fills you up a little bit more. So that you can still eat some of the foods that you like and that are easy and that are right there, but you're not like overdoing it or anything like that. So I would say that would probably be the biggest
the closest.
relapse, you know, I guess, just that temptation being there from.
Yeah, and that would be just a kind of an example of how you're going to make it work
Mhm.
into your regular life. I mean, it's certainly not someone who you're gonna now exclude from your life.
Yeah.
As a result of wanting to be healthier.
Yeah.
But finding how that you're going to make it work and be together and enjoy meals together is gonna be an important component. Any relapse time for you, or?
Well, I just remember everybody keeps saying slow and steady. They're like, Tammy, don't be losing 3 pounds a week. I said, I think I've ate so bad and on the go that it probably was dropping a little faster for me, being a little overweight. And I said, I probably will slow up now, and it'll be maybe a pound a week or whatever. And like, you're gonna be the same weight some weeks, don't be discouraged. And in the break room, they have cookies back in our maintenance room, of course, and cupcakes. 'cause
We're
we
gonna
have-
talk about that, yeah.
Yeah, and I have been passing on that, and yesterday I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna have a cookie, it's 260 calories, quick trip, I punched the barcode. I'm like, I got points left, I'm gonna have a chocolate chip cookie, because somebody says if you deprive yourself from that, you're gonna go nuts, and when you start having sweets, you're gonna go, ah!
It's so funny, Quick Trip has now come up every single day. I had someone say yesterday, Quick Trip is to someone trying to eat better, like alcohol is to, or bar is to an alcoholic. I mean, it's a
Go in
place
there,
where you
it's
go in, the visuals are all there of all kinds of tempting things.
Except they've got some.
But they do have healthy stuff going around their cheese aisle, and,
Right.
you know, their
They've got
eggs.
hard-boiled eggs,
Mhm.
like
Just gotta
packaged
pass the
ready.
bacon.
Fruits and veggies, yeah.
Right, they have the one center.
Yes.
Yeah, the one center where it's good for you, the rest are all bakers.
Just not
Yeah.
to avoid the donuts.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Would you like 4 Glazers for $1 today? No.
Yeah. You know, in that situation, and that's a perfect segue, but the one thing I want to say about relapse and make sure that everyone understands is that this relapse is a completely normal part of the process, and it's very much human nature to relapse in some form. So to feel like that is any measurement or indication of failure is completely untrue. It's actually a normal part and healthy part of the process, because you are changing a habit and a series of habits, many individual smaller habits all at the same time, and that's very challenging to do. So sometimes we have to actually break it down into smaller things to work on if you find it overwhelming to try to take it all on at once. And maybe some of the people who are watching this from home are finding it more challenging and need to focus in on certain aspects to focus in on one at a time. So relapse is normal. It is nothing to beat yourself up about. It is really important that you continue that positive, kind self-talk and make sure that you're talking to yourself the way you would your friend, instead of being very hard on yourself if you are not getting the type of results either on the scale or by any other measurement that you're wanting, because this is a internal process. You can't see the benefits of fruits and vegetables to your internal organs necessarily. It's all kind of things you have to think about in your mind and realize that it has incredible value and benefit. And just think about keeping yourself at a high priority. That may be something that's also kind of new or not natural necessarily. We often put others in our lives and their needs and all the priorities of the day and the workplace and the home life first. So it's really wonderful that you were willing and committed to take the time to work on this. It's going to be very worthwhile. So let's talk about the workplace. Great transition, cupcakes and cookies in the break room. So specific to workplace wellness and realizing that some of the members of our challenge are part-time staff who may not be in the office all day and dealing with the temptation of the break room. If you are not that person and you're watching this from home, I know I have a similar parallel this week as far as tempting things that are going to be in your environment. My 10-year-old is in a competition of who can get the most candy. Saturday night is trick-or-treating in Oconomowoc, and they usually come home with a shopping bag full each of candy. So having that around is kind of parallel to your scenario of the break room, cookies and cupcakes. And it really comes down to knowing that you're not going to be in control of your environment all the time and the food that's going to be around you. So how can we work through that? What has been your strategy thus far?
Well, sweets aren't my problem. It's, pizzas and stuff like that.
Okay.
So sweets, I say, someone said, don't bring in the sweets, it's hard for Tammy. I'm like, no, you can bring them in. And I said, I can't avoid the sweets, it's the other stuff, chips and dip and the pizzas and stuff, so I'm okay with the, you know, I've got my Halloween candy and I have not touched it yet and even opened the bags to be strong, so we'll see if I have one by the end of the weekend, but hopefully they'll all be gone by Saturday night,
Yeah,
so.
okay. Well, that's an important thing to bring up too, because different types of foods trigger us differently. Would you say you have certain trigger foods that are likely to
Pizza
take you
and
off
chips.
track?
Pizzas for me too, and chips
Yeah.
and dip. Oh, I mean, I had chips and dip, but I look forward to my popcorn, the 3 cups of popcorn, and I'm not doing air popcorn. I'm doing it the old fashioned way over the stove and
Okay.
putting a little oil in, because that's my taste of salt, which I'm missing from chips. So I look forward to popcorn.
That's good that you figured out an alternative.
Yes,
Right. Also,
I-
you, like,
it's a good
I have to have that little salt on my popcorn.
That's
And
really
popcorn is a
smart.
whole
Oh,
grain,
yeah, and
it does have fiber.
No, so I'm doing that instead of my chips.
Okay,
And I don't go down to the vending machine anymore at midnight or 1 o'clock,
okay.
so.
You know, pizza works into our topic today because we are going to be talking about eating out as well. And you know, in the workplace scenario, often it's the office that gets together to maybe make a decision on lunch for the, does that happen here? Yeah. So let's, specific to pizza, because I heard pizza come up several times.
Pizza's a big thing here.
What could you do with pizza? How can you successfully eat pizza?
Have one, slice.
Or just get veggie pizza, that's I
Yeah.
opt to get that.
Yeah.
Just make sure half of it is loaded with vegetables.
What's like Qdoba, like you get those big bags at the front office and dip. Have a little handful of those Qdoba chips, but walk away, you don't have,
But have them taken off the table.
yeah, take 10 and say, I'm going. Here's my little thing of Qdoba chips, bye.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, we respond to food in our environment the same way. It's almost like another habit. You know, you can work and practice good habits, which is what we're doing, or you can have this habit, and hopefully you're identifying a lot of those through tracking. It's another valuable perk to seeing your food diary on paper. It's often even neat to print it out and just look at your habits. On a hard day, tracking becomes a valuable history of what happens on a hard day. What kind of decisions do I make? So often people get away from tracking on the stressful work day. I hear that in my other classes often, that on a stressful day, I mean, I have people write, I ate cake and lots of it, and then they underline it, and exclamation point, and then they don't track the rest of the day. Because it was a bad day and they felt like they got completely off track. And so learning about yourself on that day is equally important as having a history of your, perfect days when you earned all the points. Because you're going to study your triggers and your habits and start to figure out how to pick those apart and respond to those things differently. So the cue in the office would be, let's all go out to, what is that place? Do you leave? Do you order in? You have things delivered?
Yeah, there's a lot of different things.
Right, most often it's like lunch bunch.
Yeah.
When we've got several weeks in a row where we know that Wednesdays we're gonna be eating, someone's gonna be making food, we're all gonna be eating it.
Someone's going to be making food, so it's a potluck style.
Yeah.
Everyone makes
takes
something.
turns.
Right. Everybody
It's like
takes
there's like a few different groups, and then so like it's group. The first week it's one group, they make lunch, and then everyone else eats
Comes
it,
to
and then the second week it's a different group's turn, and so basically it's a 3 to 4 weeks, and you get lunch made for you,
Wow.
every week, but 1 week you're making it for a group
Oh,
of
so
people.
it's sharing the responsibility of providing it. That's cool. So yeah, I can see that being really nice for not having to prepare lunch. Is there a theme to any of those days?
Yeah,
What
the
you're
group
gonna
gets to pick the theme.
Okay.
Sometimes there is.
Sometimes there
there's
is.
not.
So sometimes it's like we're lazy and we're ordering pizza and there's a big salad to go with it. Or sometimes it's a big cheesy casserole.
Okay.
It's not
Sometimes
always.
it's.
It's very rarely healthy. There's always healthy options.
Right.
There's a tray of veggies.
And it's kind of like we've talked about before with the pizza or whatever, it's like you kind of have to. I think the last one we had was like lasagna.
Oh, it's really good.
But then we also had a salad, so I know I took, it was like the plate you made, I had about half of it was salad and then a small piece of lasagna and a small piece of garlic bread, and then I just knew that you know, well, dinner's gonna have to be pretty light tonight also, you know, since there was quite a bit of carbs in the lunch portion, so.
What are some strategies we could think of to help reform?
Like she said, have a lighter, like I had a big breakfast one day, sausage, eggs, the whole works, and it was like 800, 900 calories. Lynn on my team upstairs is like, opened up her eye and like, you had almost 1,000 calories for breakfast. I'm like, I just wanted it all, you know, I was hungry for breakfast. But then lunch, I had a salad, supper had yogurt, I covered up for that day.
Yeah.
You know, and I still made it.
And that's a strategy around restaurant eating.
I think
that
everybody
can be
thinks in the
successful.
back break room I'm going to lose it on my chef salads because I've been bringing them in this big and they're like, you're gonna get so sick of salads. And I'm like, so far I haven't, but now I'm starting to have wraps now.
Yeah.
I'm putting it in
Or
wraps.
just change the
Yep,
type of
I'm
salad
trying-
ingredients
Right, because I
that
don't
are-
wanna lose it, you know?
Yeah.
Especially with the holidays coming.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So how does that theme get chosen, or how does?
The team picks it.
Yeah.
It's whatever they want to do. Sometimes it's soup
So you guys do
salad,
that every Wednesday?
No.
Oh,
but we'll have bouts where it's like 4 or 5 weeks of Wednesdays.
And you don't know until that day, so.
It's
But
sort of
again,
pre-planned,
there's
yeah.
options that are healthier.
you weren't here last year. Were you here in November? When did we do that pig out thing?
Christmas.
Yeah, we have a pig out and feed Herbie the candy bowl.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody he brings in candy, leftover, probably pretty soon, like after trick or treating, you fill up Herbie.
I think
You
they
want-
haven't done that lately.
They haven't?
Have they still been
I
doing
thought
that?
They
Herbie
did
broke.
Herbie last year, but Herbie also had clementines in it.
Oh, did it? Oh,
yeah.
okay, you're right, it did.
Yeah.
There
It's been a healthy choice.
there has been a push for, you know, more people wanting healthier choices and not,
Just candy.
you know, the temptation of that stuff laying around.
I think we're lucky here at
Yes.
this place of work, that
Yeah.
generally everybody has
Tries to
some.
help everybody.
Yeah, we're health conscious. We
Mhm.
understand that this is a place for other people getting healthy, and it doesn't stop at just members, but it's a healthy place for employees. So we're
Right.
pretty lucky. So there are options, or people fighting for healthier things. Our cafe certainly has healthier things.
Yeah.
Yes, there are things that are unhealthy, but we have the freedom to make that choice.
Choice, yep.
Because there are.
You have to
services
offer
around.
cookies and Rice Krispies and stuff to kids that, you know, that's where we probably make our money too, I hate to say
Oh, you
it.
mean the cafe itself?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and in this scenario, we're talking more about being in control
Right,
of,
of
you know,
ourselves.
kind of more of a buffet style
Mhm. Right.
situation where you may or may not know what you're going to be having until that day, what you're
Mhm.
saying, right? So what do you do in that scenario? So you're kind of walking in blind, you're looking at a buffet of food, and
Load
how
up
do you
on
make
salad
choices?
first.
Yep.
Mhm.
Get the
Yeah.
healthy stuff, have that be the majority of your meal, and then, you know, a little bit of the other stuff, and then plan for the rest of the day.
Mhm.
You know, and keep in mind that, yeah, if if you're logging that and you kind of know, all right, this is how many calories I have left, and you have an idea of what, you could eat for dinner.
Exactly.
And what you can't, or what you should avoid,
Yeah.
So,
I haven't gone out a lot either like you, but my husband and I went up to Kurt's Steakhouse for our anniversary, and I had a 6-ounce steak and baked potato salad and a roll. I did 3 ounces, cut it in half, cut my potato in half. My husband thought it was nuts, because that's not me. I would eat the whole, because we don't go out that often for a
Yeah.
steak, and I saved it for the next day for lunch.
Yeah,
After
and
church.
you were still enjoyed the meal.
Mm-hmm. And I got to enjoy it twice.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
So I
right.
think in terms of here, getting potlucks, just maybe have
Just-
water before you go, like
Yeah.
that you
Mhm.
can have a big glass or whatever of water to kind of fill you up a little bit, if not for real, but kind of in your head. And then just choose to eat a little bit of everything, just a little bit of everything, and not go back. So make it more about the interaction with the staff than it is about the food that they bring.
Right, and then those exact same things are kind of how we're gonna approach holiday eating at our next session, our next lunch and learn, when we talk about how to make good choices when you're faced with that type of a buffet again. And to choose, a little bit of everything, but choose the things that are most special, that are most unique. In the lasagna garlic bread scenario, maybe you know enough about what garlic bread tastes like that you could avoid that. Of course it's delicious, but it's kind of it's the same suggestion at Thanksgiving time with the mashed potatoes. Unless they're so special and unique and grandmother's special recipe, maybe we know what mashed potatoes taste like enough to choose some of the other more unique things that we might make for that holiday dinner. So, making some choices that might fit your plan better. And yeah, going for the healthier things first.
So have your green bean casserole be like this, even though it's got the mushroom stuff in it, and then your turkey a bunch, and then a little bit of potato.
Well, and there's ways, I mean, there's all kinds of
Sweet
ways
potatoes.
to either cut the portion of the real decadent version of that green bean casserole, or to make it a little bit different. Substitute some of the ingredients. Go with the healthier choice soup. Go with less onions on top. Go with fresh steamed green beans and maybe drizzle a little bit of that kind of mushroomy sauce over them instead of traditional casserole as it was made.
I'll just skip
Years ago.
pumpkin pie, I'm gonna have a little.
I mean, there's all kinds of ways. And you know, you've identified that you think sweets are kind of something
Yeah, I
you
can
can
skip the
bypass.
pumpkin pie.
So there you go. So
Pumpkin
you're
pie.
choosing to have green
I'm
bean
having to do
casserole
that for
because
you.
that's something that you enjoy more.
But you don't wanna be like, you know, I'm gonna make my portion smaller, but I'm gonna try to eat really slow, because everybody, the relatives will have their plates, just, you don't know my relatives, they eat.
Mhm.
So I'm going to be like, okay, small
Yeah, I-
portions, and hopefully no one will notice I'm dieting, because I
Some-
don't wanna be like, stand out either.
Last year at Thanksgiving, I was doing a challenge just like this. I took a picture of Thanksgiving plate, you know, because we had like kind of
Yeah.
post the picture. I tried to do this, I mean, the exact same
I make your
principles
plate be
at
really big with
Thanksgiving.
veggies.
Yeah, I mean, it was so colorful, it was so beautiful, you know, and it had red cranberries and just, you know, orange and green and, and I just limited those other rich, wonderful, you know, decadent things to the other side of the plate. Still got to eat it all, but the difference in calories, and we'll talk about that next time, I'll have a little bit more information on holiday eating specifically, but was amazing, you know, with making those simple little choices, still having all of it, but just making that a little bit different. Back to eating out. I do have a handout on that too. I have a handout on everything. The other handouts I have with me, you know, we want to talk about snacking a little bit too, and in the workplace when you're working full-time, you know, maybe to think about afternoon snacks, because you don't want to go home kind of ravished and go into that evening time dinner meal. That is often a time that people will get off track because they will go home really, really hungry. So either while you're cooking dinner or just being super hungry when you walk in the door after, you know, picking up kids and doing all kinds of other things can lead people to get off track and to eat more calories at dinner time than they would throughout the day. So it's neat to use MyFitnessPal as a tool to kind of plan how you can distribute calories evenly throughout the day. Maybe you'll eat a little bit more at dinner time, but really, you know, you want to be giving yourself that kind of energy and protein too, like throughout the day. Sometimes people completely skip protein at breakfast time, and they'll focus more on grains and oatmeal and things like that and kind of skip the idea of protein at breakfast. But if you can distribute it and even bring it into that afternoon snack, there'll be some suggestions on this handout for afternoon snacks. You know, you're going to find it's easier to get through the day. Your energy is going to be more sustained, and you're not going to feel that hungry because you're going to have that constant stream of calories kind of coming in. Even though it's lower calories than before, it's still enough to sustain you without being hungry. So there's a handout on that. There's a whole grain handout if you're struggling with the fiber again, so grab some of these on the way out. Eating away from home again, and eating in the workplace. You know, I have, maybe this isn't the same scenario necessarily, and that those, again, watching the video from home, maybe you're not in the workplace full-time enough to have the temptation at work of feeling like peer pressure is driving you in an unhealthy direction. But I'm sure this kind of applies to our social life as well, where you're ordering food in a restaurant. So what are some tips when you're out and about enjoying restaurants? How can you stay on track?
Well, I think what Tammy did the other, you know, was good. You know,
Yeah.
still eat, you know, order a meal, still eat out, but not, you know, not overdo it
And I asked
and
for
save,
water right away, and
Yeah.
I did guzzle that water right away. That
and
hour.
save some of it for, you know, the next day, so that you're kind of still eating reasonable portions instead of.
And I have not gone to like Chili's where you have the endless nachos yet, that I don't know how it will be.
Well, and here's an important point to make. You
Yeah.
can, how can you successfully eat at Chili's if you want to go there?
Look at the menu before you go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Decide what
Yeah,
you're
there
gonna
you go.
eat before you go.
Taco
Exactly.
salad.
Either,
Go in
most
plan.
chain restaurants will
Yeah.
have a lot of
menus, yeah.
nutrition information online. My Fitness Pal also has a lot of nutrition information available. So even if you just type in the chain, Chili's, you know, you'll get a long, long list of all the items, but you will usually be able to find. And Chili's is one that actually specifically caters to a lower, lighter menu, where they do offer some really nice choices for those who are trying to limit. You know, you have to avoid the things
Right.
that are hard to avoid, like the salty chips and things like that. But there definitely are some options that you can choose that will fit. And looking at that ahead of time and looking up the menu, you can almost make those choices before you even go.
I think that applies to so many things. I think just, I know my tendency is to be backwards with my budget with my food, right? But if I try to, in my mind, equate it to like my family's budget, right? We don't necessarily, we tell our money where to go based on how much we know we're gonna get for that month, right? We tell our money where to go compared to being like, okay, where did our money go? Same thing with your calories. If you have the frame of mind, and maybe this is gonna take some time dedicated to it, to budget your food, you know? Instead of using my fitness, like this is what kind of light bulb went on for me, because I've been using my Fitness Pal like retroactively. I'm gonna start using it proactively and budget my food and be like,
Right.
okay, well, this is what I'm going to have this week, you know?
Exactly.
And then put it in knowing that, okay, that's all I am allowed. Granted, that takes a lot of time, but I typically kind of do that for my family in terms of meal planning a little bit anyway, you know, so I just think it very much applies similarly to that when it comes to the money or your food. Like you have this allotted amount, instead of figuring out where it went that day, like what did I all eat? Oh, when I was this much over, I'm gonna try to go in proactively with it. And say, this is what I'm gonna do.
Right, so you're kind of planning to succeed.
Yeah.
You know, and it does help that feeling of control when you are having the peers, you know, trying to lead you in the other direction. When you have that plan in place and that food is there or is going to soon be available to you, you know, where you can make the healthier choice at the restaurant, or you have the healthy snacks that you brought from home, or that you know exactly what you're gonna buy from the cafe because you planned it into your day. It might be the almonds, you know, and you've planned for that, you've got that figured out. I mean, it might feel wrong, again, to put yourself first and to feel like you're being more assertive about yourself when you're kind of telling your peers that that's not what you are going to do necessarily. There's certainly a way to order the pizza in a healthier way. There's a way to say, let's make one theme all about healthy food and just see what the reaction is as a way to start, maybe. You know, but there's all kinds of different scenarios and ways to feel like you're still in charge of everything that's around you. You know, that you're able to take care of yourself and what you're working on while still being part of the peer group. You know, one thing in a restaurant too, being the one that orders first can be really interesting. If you're the person that orders first and you order something healthy, the effect that it'll have on the table is very interesting. You know, I've had lots of participants in other classes say, if someone orders something really rich, if we're all going out for Friday fish fry, then maybe you weren't going to order it, but if everybody else at the table is ordering it, you're going to order it too. You know, that's drives your decision-making process, maybe.
Yeah.
If you're assertive and you just, I'm going to order this, and you go in with that plan, it's a difficult habit to change. But with time and practice, habits become like brushing your teeth. You don't even think about it anymore. You wouldn't have to plan as hard to get 2 cups of vegetables. It will have become a habit. So,
And I think it goes, you just have to understand that this is for me and my health, and you have your own reasons for it, and paying no attention really to what others are maybe saying or not. And a lot of the times, if they give you a hard time, or they're potentially, you know, joking, it has more to do about how they feel about themselves than what you're doing. You know, most of the time that's what you're gonna come across. So don't feel pressured to not do it because of what they are potentially saying or not saying, or not even participating in it. I think you just have to stay the course and know that this is what I'm doing, I've made this decision, and I'm gonna do that kind of with your blinders on and not be affected by what they might say. And then, you know, some days it's easier to say than others.
Yeah.
But I think most of the time, ultimately, they're gonna respect you for your friends and be like, okay, she's doing this for.
Dee's
like,
been really
it feels
encouraging.
different
Actually, my
at
coworker
first.
Dee has been really encouraging. She's like, Tammy,
Good.
you always have diets, and you lose 5 or 10 and you're done. And she says, this is the best I've ever seen you in
Wow.
the 5 years we've worked. She says, you are finally getting this.
Wow.
And she's pregnant right now, so she can't do this with me, and I wish she could have.
Mm.
But, because, you know, we both needed to incentive each other.
Mhm.
But she's been real encouraging, actually. She says, nope, you're done. You know, like, that's all the cookie you're having. And she'll take it away from me, because she really wants to see me do it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, and that's a very big reason
Right.
why the challenge is successful as well, because we are trying to be supportive of each other and work as a group and a team to support and to continue to give each other good vibes for good behavior and making good choices.
I'm gonna segue just a little bit, Brenda,
Yeah,
so as
that's
to not forget this.
Yeah.
But I'll come to the camera, because I want to speak more to the people who are at home about this. So this is a really good segue about our point system. Now, initially when the program was developed and founded, Brenda worked on it with some of our trainers here, and it was all about establishing healthy habits. Now, as a facilitator, it's just very easy for me to kind of say, okay, in terms of incentivizing it, making it about points or potentially weight loss, but that's really not the whole point of the program. And I feel as if maybe I failed at that because of some of the feedback I've been getting from some of the participants. I feel as if I've tried to word it in our emails, but I understand that everybody gets a lot of emails and sometimes you don't want to read everything, especially on your little phone. It seems like this really, really lengthy email. So it's easy to overlook the fact that this is not a point, you know, I'm not excited for you if you're accruing all these points, but not really understanding the healthier habit component of it. Like, that's why they are designated points for these designated behaviors. Yeah, and weight loss, I think, this was going into it, we knew this was a weight loss challenge. It's not necessarily what everybody's goal was that participated, but weight loss is how we're going to incentivize or just declare the winner, because that's what it was going in. But we're going to change the rules just a little bit for the next 3 point earner winners. There are 3 more. We had 1. Shauna won the first point earner winner. We're going to have 3 more. And you'll get the same prize. You get a $25 gift card to Amazon. So maybe knowing what that is, you're like, oh, I could use that, right? Who couldn't? So I will only award the winner of the most points having met at least 5 of the 7 days of all of these for that week. Yes, it's a struggle. Yes, it's a challenge. That's the whole point, right? It's going to be something that you need to work hard at in order to achieve that prize. Okay, so it's not just if you accumulated a bunch of points because you're really, really great at exercise, or you always sleep well, or you're always consistent with 1 or 2 of the habits. You need to be consistent with all of the habits, at least for 5 of those 7 days, right? In order to make some kind of notation that you've gotten all of those in order to be eligible for the point earner prize. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any questions about that? But that week is, that's a tough week. Like, you have committed for that week because that's what you want. And that's not going to be told prior to, so hopefully you'll just treat every week like that week I could potentially earn this prize. So I want to focus on the habits and not just the one that comes easiest for me. So if, maybe that's not something you can consider right now because it's just overwhelming and there are so many and you've been really good at only like 2 of them, so then pick 2 that you aren't really good at. And then focus on those, ones that aren't no-brainers for you, the ones that you're like, I really struggle with that. So that's what you're going to focus on for that week compared to all of them, right? Because this challenge isn't, it's about encouraging each other to live healthier, because that's what we want for our work environment.
Like the swimming one, who did the swimming one last week? Anybody? You guys did? I did, and I found time.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
Yeah,
I
know.
Just work towards it.
But it is good goal,
Yeah. All right, so that's all I wanted to say about that. But
Okay.
if you have any questions or you need to, talk to me about that, please email me. And I'm really grateful for those who have come into my office and given me feedback. I really appreciate that. So,
Okay.
Great.
thanks, Brenda.
Oh, sure. I just want to highlight a couple other things I brought along. If you've never used one of these, this is a nice little nifty tool to have, a digital food scale. Again, accuracy when it comes to logging what you're eating, just to know. exactly what everything comes out to be, to make sure your calculations are on.
Where'd you get that?
They're sold at Target, Walmart. I think this one actually is part of diabetes prevention. You know, we use it as a training tool, but I believe it's less than $20 at Walmart.
Or Amazon, $25.
Yeah, you go.
Exactly.
Get that.
Exactly.
I mean,
There you go.
it's just important for tracking purposes that, you know, what you are saying you're doing is actually accurate with what is happening. That's hard to do when you're eating out because you can't control every part of your environment, but it's certainly a valuable tool. Another way to add more fruits and vegetables are in soups. This is a great time of year to start making soups. You know, Super Sunday. Lots of people use Sunday as a planning day. Maybe do grocery shopping, maybe cut up vegetables and kind of plan out how they might distribute them throughout the week. Making soup is another idea, just for getting more fruits and vegetables. I have a cookbook of all soups, and this month's Cooking Light issue talks all about comforting soups and stews, where is just a great place to add vegetables if you're really struggling with getting them into and meeting that part of the challenge. So just brought those along for you to look at if you want to take a look. There's all kinds of menu planning tools online if you're struggling to kind of plan the week. We talked about planning being such an important part of success, but this, I mean, Pick and Save right over here sells all kinds of publications like this. This is a Cooking Light weekly meal planner, you know, quick, make fast meals, family-friendly stuff that'll just help with ideas, if you're looking for ideas of how to make healthier things at home. Got a couple other cookbooks with me here today, but I certainly hope that you enjoyed the presentation, that you were able to learn something. There's all kinds of stuff here if you want to drop by the Y and pick up some nutrition information materials, or you can certainly find them online as well. So thanks very much.